Hey, Book Dragons, I'm so glad you've joined me today. I recently read The Mystery of the Blue Train by Agatha Christie. This is a Hercule Poirot mystery, and I've been working through the Hercule Poirot catalog with my friend Mona Lisa from Mona Lisa Reads, and so we both read this book together, and I'm really excited to share with you a few things about this book. And if you're not familiar with The Mystery of the Blue Train, it is about the murder of an American heiress while she's on her way to the French Riviera with a very famous ruby in her possession that also ends up being stolen. That is the gist of the story, and it is quite a wild ride. And so, like any good Agatha Christie novel, you want to find out who committed the murder. Was it her soon-to-be ex? Was it her lover? Was it her ex's mistress? Was it her wealthy American father? Or was it a caretaker from a small town in England who is now no longer assigned to her job and is traveling the world? It could be any one of these, or it could be none of these. And in true Agatha Christie fashion, she keeps you guessing all the way along. Now, this was an interesting book for me because it doesn't really start like a typical Hercule Poirot mystery. Usually with the Hercule Poirot books, he shows up very early on in the story. And as I was reading along in this book, I began to wonder if I had the right book. I didn't go and look up any synopsis of it or anything like that to find out if I had the right book. But I was very curious because I kept reading and different characters were being introduced and there was no Poirot. And then eventually he did end up on the page and everything was kosher. But it was interesting that he didn't show up for such a long period of time. And what really threw me is there is a brief mention of St. Mary Mead in the book. And if you're familiar with Agatha Christie's other major detective, Jane Marple is from St. Mary Mead. And so that really threw me off. I'm like, am I reading Hercule Poirot? Am I reading the right book? Or is this a Miss Marple mystery? And lo and behold, Hercule Poirot showed up. Everything was fine. But that really threw me off. It was kind of wild. So this story was really, really well paced. Poirot was at his eccentric and egotistical best. As always, you're constantly seeing Poirot think very much of himself and tell everybody else how good he is. And it's comical to watch. When you read a Poirot novel, you just go in expecting him to be arrogant and full of himself, because that's just who Poirot is. That's kind of the charm of Poirot. And so there was plenty of that in this book. And of course, he gets brought in on the case of the murdered heiress. And everything goes from there in typical Agatha Christie fashion. All the beats are there. You've got all the different possibilities of who it could be, who it probably isn't, but maybe it is. Agatha Christie weaves the story in such a way that eventually you're just totally stymied. I know I was. Now, my friend Mona Lisa, she did figure out some of the answers, whereas I was completely surprised when I got to the end of the book and found out who the murderer was. I'm like, I did not see that coming, but she caught on to it a little, so I'm curious if she'll eventually put up a video talking about her thoughts. But we had some good discussions together, and I was amazed at some of the things that she picked up on that I didn't, that were kind of there in plain sight, but I just, for some reason, I didn't pick up on them. But it was a really entertaining ride. I thoroughly enjoyed reading this book. I don't think I've ever read a bad Agatha Christie book. I've read some that I didn't like as well as others, but I don't think I've ever read a bad Agatha Christie book, really. And she's just a fantastic author. There's some great characters in this book. Of course, we talked about Poirot, we meet the heiress early on, we meet her father, and we meet other characters in the story, like her soon-to-be ex-husband. And the former caretaker named Catherine Gray shows up fairly early on in the story, even before Poirot. Catherine Gray shows up before Poirot, and she's kind of the last character to be revealed before the reveal of the famous detective. And so it's really, really cool. I love train stories. I don't know about you, but I love trains in general. I have always loved trains. I've always wanted to ride a train. Now, I've been on some trains, but they were stationary. It wasn't like a trip across country on a train. I would love to go to England sometime and ride the bullet train and things like that, just to experience a long-term voyage by train. I think that would be super cool. And so I love books that are set on trains. And so previously I read Murder on the Orient Express. That was one of my earlier reads of the Poirot books, and that's a train, and of course I loved every minute of it. There's just something about trains and something about a murder on a train that just works for me. I absolutely loved this book. It was quite a unique book compared to some other Poirot books, and I just really enjoyed myself thoroughly. The character work was really great. The twists and turns were magnificently done. She had me baffled completely until the end of the book when she did the final reveal, and I'm like, well, okay, I didn't see that coming. But Poirot did. Poirot had all the pieces figured out, and I'm impressed. I'm always impressed with a good Poirot story. Let me know if you have read The Mystery of the Blue Train by Agatha Christie or other books by Agatha Christie. Are you a fan of Poirot? Do you like his little idiosyncrasies and his famous little gray cells? All the things that come with a Poirot novel. Do you enjoy stuff like that? I absolutely love it. So I think that's about all I can say without just continuing to gush and gush and gush. If there was any question about how I rate this book, I give it a heart, a big heart. I am a huge fan, and I highly recommend The Mystery of the Blue Train. And the lovely thing about Agatha Christie novels is you can really read them in any order. There is kind of an order following through Poirot's career, but it's not set in stone so much that you need to read them in any particular order. Just pick up and enjoy the ones that you really think you'll enjoy, and then maybe go back and check out some of the other back catalog. But The Mystery of the Blue Train is a fantastic book. And I mean, look at this cover. I love the new covers that they've designed for the Agatha Christie novels that they're re-releasing with the new covers. It's just such a beautiful cover, really eye-catching, and they're doing that with most of the Agatha Christie books. So I think I've gone on long enough. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and until next time, make sure you guys read more books. And oh, don't forget to check out other videos of mine in the cards at the end.